You're listening to Talking Taiwan with your host, Felicia Lin.
I met Stan Kwiatkowski, better known as YouTuber Stan from Poland, ê, at this year's Taiwanese American Conference, where he was one of the speakers. Welcome to the Talking Taiwan podcast. I'm here with YouTuber Stan from Poland, ê. Welcome to the podcast, Stan.
Thank you, Felicia. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
His YouTube channel now has over 200,000 subscribers. And if that wasn't impressive enough, the first thing you'll notice after going to his YouTube channel is how fluently he speaks Mandarin Chinese in practically all of the videos. The content that Stan and his wife produce for their YouTube channel consists of political commentary, interviews, and news with a focus on topics related to Taiwan's political situation and security. Stan also has some English videos on the Love Taiwan YouTube channel. We'll share links to both of these YouTube channels on TalkingTaiwan.com for this episode. I interviewed Stan in person when he was in New York in July. We started off talking about some of the key dates in Taiwan's history, such as the 228 massacre of February 28, 1947, and ended up discussing his thoughts on Taiwan's upcoming presidential elections in January of 2024. If you'd like to watch my interview with Stan, we will also be posting a video of it to Talking Taiwan's YouTube channel. Here's our interview. You're known for doing a lot of political commentary, especially about Taiwan. And, the obvious question is, how did you get interested in Taiwan in the first place, and what motivates you to run this channel?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for talking about my channel. We just passed 200,000 subscribers, and it took me 5 years, a little bit more than 5 years, to get up to this point. And yeah, there were some highs, there were some lows, but right now I'm pretty proud because it's an independent channel and I do it together with my wife and our cat. So just two people and one cat working on it. And why? Basically, because I spent in Taiwan more than 9 years. I got my BA degree there, and then I worked there for a pretty long time. And then when we were back to Poland, first of all, I decided to make a channel to share some similar experiences that Poland had and Taiwan had, talk about Polish history, talk about all of the events that happened in the 20th century, because the time of democratization of Taiwan and time of democratization of Poland are very close, very similar, and there are a lot of things that Taiwanese people can learn from our experiences and the Polish people can learn from the Taiwanese experiences. And especially right now, when the situation is getting, the political situation is getting more and more nervous in Taiwan, so I think that there is more need to talk to the Taiwanese people and let them know that, for example, the United States, that the European Union are the real partners of Taiwan and are willing to help if anything bad happens, because of the amount of the CCP propaganda in Taiwan. It's huge, and there are not many people actually fighting against that. So yeah, that's probably one of the biggest motivations for me and for Tai, for my wife.
Right. And what is it that brought you to Taiwan in the first place?
University. Yeah, I went there to study.
Right.
And then
but of all, that's very interesting to pick Taiwan. How did you decide on Taiwan?
Well, because, and that's what my dad also wanted for me, to learn an Asian language. And at that time, Taiwan offered pretty good quality of education and for not a very high price, pretty affordable. So that's why Taiwan was an obvious choice for me.
So what years were you living in Taiwan?
I moved to Taiwan in 2010.
Okay.
And spent there till 2018, 2019, that time.
Okay, I see. And so what was your time in Taiwan like? What did you experience? What did you see while you were living there? And I guess that's also when you learned your Chinese.
Yeah. Well, what did I experience? I experienced many things, and my experiences in Taiwan were pretty various because I didn't only live in Taipei like many of the foreign citizens that come to Taiwan. They spend most of their time in Taipei, but I also used to work in central Taiwan. And then I realized that I know nothing about Taiwan, because Taipei is like an absolutely different story. Experiences were, I mean, there were many things that I think that the other countries can learn from Taiwan. There are also many things that Taiwanese people can learn from the other countries, for example, from the United States. And lovely people, nice food, weather is like, if you like it, you like it. Sometimes, like especially in summer, it's pretty hot. And interesting culture, like a whole melting pot of different cultures, of the traditional native Taiwanese culture, the culture of Hokkien people, the culture of Japan, because Taiwan used to belong to Japan for quite a long time. So right now when you're speaking Taiwanese, there are many like loan words coming from Japan. And some you can even have like a Spanish word there, so there is a lot of influence from Europe also. So it's like a whole mixture of different cultures and religions. You have Christianity, you have traditional Taiwanese religions, you have Mazul, you have all of the things, and all in the same place. So it's very unique country.
Right. Well, I'm just curious to know, because some people may think it's very interesting, like this guy from Poland, like doing this commentary about Taiwan, like why do that? And like, did you have this idea when you started your YouTube channel that you specifically wanted to address like what's going on in Taiwan, and why would you want to do this?
Well, when I started my channel, it first started like with historical stuff. I've been talking about Polish history. Like my first video was about the Independence Day in Poland.
Yes, I saw
What
that.
is Poland celebrating on the 11th of November, right? And what were the experiences? Because Poland used to be under foreign influence for a very long time. Basically was colonized by different countries. And the history of Poland, especially in the 19th century, in the early 20th century, is the history of pursuing the independence, looking for a way to restore our own country. And also after the Second World War, because Poland was basically partitioned once again in 1939 by Stalin and Hitler. And after the Second World War, because there are some misunderstandings in Taiwan, because some of the Taiwanese people thought that Poland was a communist country on our own will, but it is not true. Because if you look at the Polish constitution, the constitution of the Republic of Poland at that time, it was basically amended by Stalin himself. And the Polish Workers' Party, the United Workers' Party of Poland, it was basically controlled by the Soviet Union. It was basically controlled from Moscow. So we didn't choose communism. We were under Stalin's control and then under the Soviet Russia's control. That's why we were called like a satellite state. So basically you have your seat in the United Nations, you have your formal independence, but in reality you're not an independent entity, unfortunately. And that's why Polish people continued to fight against it. There were many uprisings, there were many events. The Solidarity Union was formed for that purpose, right, to stand up against the oppression. And then Poland democratized. And if you look at Taiwanese history at that time, you see so many similarities. For example, with the Milestone, like with the magazine and what happened to the activists at that time.
The Milestone that Stan is referring to is also known as the Formosa Magazine Incident or Kaohsiung Incident of 1979.
When Poland democratized and when Taiwan democratized, the time frame is very similar, and there are many things that and many experiences that can be shared between the two.
In Poland, martial law was lifted in 1983, and the first parliamentary election since the fall of communism took place in 1991. In Taiwan, martial law was lifted in 1987, and the first direct presidential elections were held in 1996.
This was one of my reasonings behind the channel, and also there are also my wife's reasonings, because she has changed her opinion on Taiwanese politics like 180 degrees, because her family is like, their background story is very interesting, because her father is Taiwanese and her mom is half Taiwanese and like they say in Taiwanese, 华汉籍. And half mainland Chinese. So basically, with her dad, my wife's grandfather, my grandfather-in-law, he died pretty early, and her dad, he rose in all of that KMT propaganda and leading to their family being actually deep blue.
Okay.
Like deep blue, and the understanding of Taiwanese history was basically through the prism of Chinese history,
right.
what they have in education in Taiwan, right? And then when we got married, we went to Poland. She started reading more about the Taiwanese history, read Chen Cuilian, her books. And then I took her to Auschwitz, the biggest Nazi concentration camp on the territory of Poland. She was crying there. It was very shocking for her. And then when we left, I asked her, do you know that Taiwan also used to have concentration camps? And she was, no, that's not possible. And then I said, do you know Lüdao, the Green Island?
Yes.
What was there?
Yes.
And then something clicked. And she started reading more and understanding more. And then she started learning more about her family, because that's what I say. Her family is very interesting. His father, her grandfather-in-law, grandmother-in-law, they used to be, they lived pretty well during the Japanese period. She has relatives that went to Japan to study, that were doctors. Some of her relatives had a pharmacy in Taipei, and then moved to the United States, and also lived until his late 90s in Irvine, in California. So they knew and they were supporting the Taiwanese independence, and they were supporting Taiwan.
Oh.
But her dad didn't have an opportunity to be in touch with them. And so that's why, and right now that's very interesting. Well, when we've been to Washington, D.C., and I made a speech at one of the Presbyterian churches, in, was it Maryland or Virginia? In Maryland. And when we've been talking to the pastor there, and Tai, she started talking about her family, about her grandfather-in-law, about her uncles, about the family members. And that pastor, he knew
her relatives.
Yes.
Wow.
In California. And it was touching. And I think that's also very similar to many experiences of the Taiwanese people, and how shameful it was before. When the KMT came, when the Chinese people came to Taiwan, what they did with educational reform, with actually taking all of the resources from the Taiwanese people, taking their homes, taking their land, taking their money. You couldn't speak your own language. You couldn't speak Taiwanese. And if you had relatives that lived off pretty well during Japanese times, they would have come after you. So this is what I say. And right now, Tai, she is looking back at all of these things, and she is finding herself.
That's very interesting. So when you were in Taiwan, she didn't have this awareness then?
She knew that. She knew that, but she didn't want to reach out to these people, to her relatives. She didn't want to learn more.
And what about you? What was your view? Because it sounds like you were pretty aware. You already had in your mind or understood the parallels between Poland and Taiwan, and you already knew about that before you went to Taiwan? Were you familiar with that?
I think I don't have a say here, because that's her family. That's
no, I'm talking about yourself and your awareness of Taiwan.
Well, before I came to Taiwan, what I knew about it was basically that Taiwan is a democratic China. What would China have been if not for the communists? But when I came to Taiwan, I started learning more that Taiwan is not Chiang Kai-shek. Because many Polish people, what will they, if you say Formosa, Taiwan, they'll tell you, oh, Chiang Kai-shek.
Yes.
Because people know the figure of Chiang Kai-shek. But first, when I came, I understood that Taiwan is much more than Chiang Kai-shek. And after a few years passed, I understood another thing, that Taiwan is everything but Chiang Kai-shek. Because Chiang Kai-shek has nothing to do with Taiwan.
You were also there during the Sunflower Movement, right? Did you witness that?
I've been
Because that was in 2014, because you said you were there in
I was during that time, and this was the time when I started working in Taiwan, and I spent most of my time like working. But I've seen it on the news, and when I went to the city center, like you could see that there are protests and police and so on. It was very interesting. Yeah.
Okay, so it seems like, but then you really became very like outspoken and politically active when you actually left and went to Poland and started this YouTube channel. So that's very interesting.
Because I used to work for the Taiwanese businesses, and politics is not the thing you are supposed to discuss there, because many of them have either factories in China or branches in China. And plus, it was the time of the, like, what Tai calls it, like the great appeasement period. Manzhou's time, right? And before President Taiwan's first term, it was like the whole world was pro-China. Everybody thought that China will develop, that China will democratize. It's such a country of great opportunities. And in Taiwan, it was pretty much the same. And especially in those Taiwanese businesses.
Well, until the Sunflower Movement, when they tried to push the cross-strait trade pact, and then that happened.
But here is the difference.
Yes.
Students, activists, politically active people, they knew what's going on. The businesses didn't. They said, okay, then you're demonstrating here. What if my business gets cancelled or closed in China? So after the Sunflower Movement, I think that the Taiwanese businesses, especially those who are related to China in any way, shape, or form, they became even more like silent on the political issues. And when that's my experience, at least the companies that I used to work in. So they were like, okay, China, okay, we're not talking about like politics and so on.
It's very interesting what you said, that your father was really supportive of you learning Asian languages. Can you tell me a little bit more about your background, your upbringing? And it sounds like he was an important influence on you.
Well, what can I tell about my upbringing and my family? Like, my parents were always supportive of me, and since my childhood, like, I had like a very big problem. I'm bad at math, and I'm good at foreign languages.
Okay.
So I learned.
So how many languages do you speak then?
Well, right now I speak pretty fluently, like Mandarin, English, Polish, Japanese, like around the N3 and 2 level. Then a little bit of German. Then a little bit of Taiwanese.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so you were saying about your family, like
what my dad knew, that I'm bad at math, so I won't become an engineer like 100%. But I was good at languages,
right.
And so he was thinking like, then learn a language that very few people speak, and that was his opinion. Would it be Arabic or Korean or Japanese or Mandarin, like whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there was an opportunity just coming to Taiwan.
Right. So were you always interested in like current events or news and politics and all that? Like, are you surprised that, looking back on it, that what you're doing right now?
No, I'm not surprised. I've always been interested in current affairs, in politics and what's going on in the world. And it was a little bit surprising that many people in Taiwan are not as focused on what's going on outside of Taiwan. I think that here there is a big similarity between the Taiwanese people and the American people. But that is very interesting if you look at it from the historical perspective, because the United States, it's a huge country. You can pretty much live in the US for all of your life without leaving the country, and you have a lot of things to experience. But Taiwan, it's an island nation, and they have to trade, they have to be involved internationally, and people are still very focused on what's going on in Taiwan. I think that's also related to the martial law period, when like the flow of information was pretty closed, and the people were not allowed to connect with the world like as much as they do right now. And right now people are becoming more and more curious about what's going on.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of more open, like, openness with the media and the freedom of expression and all that makes a huge difference.
And Taiwan got its freedom of speech and freedom of expression basically at the same time when Poland did.
Yeah. And so how do you just decide what kind of topics to cover on your YouTube channel?
Well, basically, this also related to my wife. Because when she started understanding what kind of education Taiwanese people receive, and like with those pro-blue and pro-Chinese propaganda, and how many scars are there like in Taiwanese society right now, she also wanted to have a say and say something like, for example, about what has been going on in Taiwan, who are the people from the KMT, and do some experience sharing. And that's why these were also the topic. For example, she was very interested in transitional justice and what Poland went through. Because for her, it was also interesting. How come like there is a communist country and right now you have anti-communist laws? So what were the reasons behind that, and how did Poland democratize, and what did Poland do to prevent the similar atrocities to happen again? Basically, like the lustration laws and not allowing the former
so these are some
members.
things that you've talked about in some of your videos?
Yeah. I think I made more than 10 videos on transitional justice and the whole process of democratization of Poland. Because what is interesting, how Poland democratized, the biggest difference, because Poland was a communist country before. Taiwan, it was a authoritarian dictatorship, but Taiwan still had market economy. For Poland, the biggest challenge was to build the market economy from scratch, because there was planned economy, and planned economy is basically, it means you don't have any economy. So nobody knew how to do that. And that's why those reforms that were in the 90s in Poland are so crucial for every Polish person right now. But what caught my wife's interest is those laws that limited and restricted the former Communist Party members to take part in political affairs. And that's what Taiwan didn't have, and that's why the transitional justice issue in Taiwan is still like a lot of people are talking about, and pro-blue people are saying, oh, you're just using it as a political oppression measure, but pro-green or pro-Taiwan people are saying, but how come that the perpetrators are still not, there is not even a consensus that what they did was bad. And right now there are streets in Taiwan named after a person who killed many Taiwanese. Basically, there was a joke. What does the KMT mean? Killed many Taiwanese.
Oh, I haven't heard that one. That's interesting. Wow. Yeah, I mean, because the transitional justice was only for a couple of years, and now it's, we don't know what the future of it is. So it seems like it's unfinished. There's a lot of unfinished business there.
And there is no societal consensus.
Yes.
Up until now, so it would be very hard to move forward with that, because comparing to Poland or to Lithuania or to Latvia or to Estonia or maybe to Czechia, to Slovakia, to these countries, there was societal consensus. But in Taiwan, it's still a divided society. So for me, I thought that sharing experiences, talking about historically what happened, might be an interesting point of view to share.
So what do you mean by societal consensus? Like, can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, yeah, because if you ask for example, Lithuanian person, most of the Lithuanian people would agree that what Soviet Union did to them was bad, right? But in Taiwan, if you're talking about the White Terror, or if you're talking about the KMT rule after 1945, you will see a lot of people still supporting the KMT and voting for KMT.
Yeah, it's very complicated.
Right? So that's why there is no consensus. And even if they say that there were atrocities committed, there were bad things going on, but at the same time, you hear people saying, oh, stop talking about 228. It's not important. It happened a long time ago.
Right.
Let's just put it somewhere else. So that's why it's very hard to push forward and to go with the transitional justice and with any kind of reform or saying what the perpetrators did was bad, because still there is no agreement in the Taiwanese society of what has been going on and where Taiwan wants to go in future.
That's interesting. So do you think that's maybe why they can't move forward with it?
I think there are many reasons for that, because the whole democratization process, it was different, and the historical background was also different for Taiwan. If you look at the current laws in Taiwan, the constitution that is outdated.
Yes,
to
there's
say
a
the
lot of
last,
issues
right?
with that. That could be a whole
The country
conversation.
names,
Yes.
right? The anthem, and
Yes.
it's. And the other problem is that when you're talking about it, there is also pressure coming from China.
Mm-hmm.
So it is very
Yes.
It is very complicated.
Yes.
Because first of all, there is no consensus in the society. There is international pressure,
Mm-hmm.
and there are very outdated laws.
Yes.
So any kind of reform, especially if it is related to the constitution, are very hard to put forward
Yes.
because of the consensus that has to be achieved in the legislature of Taiwan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, that's a really big topic, and a really it could be very frustrating to think about how to deal with things like that.
Well, we can have like a whole different conversation on
Yeah,
that.
yeah. How do you think your YouTube channel's evolved over time? So it sounds like it's a conversation with you and your wife and her discovering a lot of things, and so it really reflects like her journey as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been working on that together,
Mm-hmm.
like, and we do everything together. Like, we discuss what topics are we going to cover, what news. Then I write the background music so that we don't have any copyright issues.
Oh,
She
wow,
makes all of
nice.
the 2D design. For example, if you see like funny pictures of Taiwanese politicians or of Chinese politicians, it's her work.
Oh, great.
Yeah, then we discuss the topics, and I film, I edit, and we just move forward with the other different forms of content.
What do you think was the first major milestone that you achieved with your YouTube channel?
I think the first major milestone was when I reached the 100,000,
Mm-hmm.
because it took very long time.
How long did that take?
3 years.
Yeah.
Like,
And what do you
almost
think?
4
What do you
years.
think it was that really pushed you to the 100,000? Was there something that happened or that you did?
I think that because my channel was growing pretty slowly, it started growing faster during COVID, because I've been talking about the World Health Organization not letting Taiwan in, things like that, and it's not fair. Talking about that Taiwan developed its own vaccine, like, things like that. That time, the channel grew a little bit. Then the channel grew. Let me think about it. Actually, yeah. It was, first of all, it was when the COVID started, and then it was during the national security law in Hong Kong. I got a lot of viewers coming from Hong Kong. Then I got a pretty big push when I was talking about the mafia-affiliated YouTubers in Taiwan and what they do and how do they spread like pro-China propaganda, like those things. And recently, let me think. And then it was, I think, like the way it was growing, it was pretty similar. I mean, if there are some issues that everybody is talking about, for example, like about the mayor of Taipei, or what did he say recently? This attracts the views. And during the elections in the US, many people were watching my live streams, or during the Russian invasion in Ukraine.
Right.
Because I've been live streaming and looking through the news and like delivering the information when it comes from the, for example, Associated Press, or through some like Telegram groups, like the first hand things. I just put it and give my comments.
Yeah. So what kind of research do you do and like to prepare for your channel, and like where do you get a lot of your sources? I imagine because you can read Chinese, so you get a lot of sources that way.
Yeah, of course. And right now I'm also doing human rights research. It actually is also related to the human rights issues that China is going through right now. First of all, every time when there is a topic, people are talking about it online, I go through all of the major newspapers in Taiwan and TV channels, see what they say. Then I go to the sources. Then if I'm talking about China, I go to the CCP's website, like official website, or like Xinhua or Renminwang, right? Like People's Daily, like these kind of things. So you see what they say, and then you go to Chinese internet and look what is going on there, if they leave any comments online, and then you go on Twitter and see the information that is banned on China, what is available. Then, like always, I read all kinds of like what think tanks are publishing about the current affairs, especially on China, because China is it's a closed society, and it is very hard to get actual information. So you have to read a lot. You have to read what the Communist Party of China says, and then you have to look about what's really going on there. So yeah, then we discuss everything with my wife. Then we see what can be used in the video, what lessons can Taiwanese people learn from that. For example, with the lockdowns, with massive lockdowns.
Right.
Some people were saying, oh, China is performing great at fighting COVID. And says, for example, saying that there are only like 3,000 people that died from COVID in China. But then you see those massive lockdowns, and you see how are they treating the people and what is going on, and you start asking questions.
Right.
So, yeah, this is one of the biggest lessons that I hope that my viewers will learn. Don't believe in what the propaganda says, and go deeper. Research more, look for different sources of information. So yeah, and basically it's like that. So some people say that there are some channels that are putting like 5 or 6 or 7 videos a week, but we're just 2 people. I cannot do 5 videos a week.
How often do you publish content?
I'm trying to do 2 videos every week, like 10-minute videos, plus 1 live stream talking about current affairs, and short videos because they're easier to do and faster.
Yes.
Like 3 to 4. So yeah.
Wow. So it really sounds like a full-time job. Like you're constantly like on the lookout. And
It basically is. It basically is. That's why. And the problem is that with content like mine, it's very hard to get any deals or sponsorships because.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that
China
because.
doesn't like us.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you that because I would imagine after you get to a certain level of subscribers, that I don't know how YouTube does. Like if they approach you and offer you any kind of special features or tools or training or support.
There are some emails coming from YouTube, for example, if there are any events or if they have any like online like YouTube Academy, like things you can listen to how to film or what to do like with the social media, things like that. But I think every YouTuber receives it. You don't have to actually pass through like 100,000 milestone to get it. They send you that certificate that you and that like the silver plate that you that you have, like the silver award that you have passed this milestone. But YouTube itself, no. And with the algorithm, like what I don't like about YouTube, because it's you don't know what the algorithm wants and what will be popular the next day. And especially if it's political content, it's really like a hit or miss. Sometimes the video, I thought that nobody would watch it when I was talking about the Australia-China relations and how basically China first said that they are going to sanction Australia and just cut all the ties with Australia, and then when there was coal shortage and mass blackouts in China, they actually started begging Australia to start selling them coal once again. I thought that nobody would watch it, like honestly, because similar videos when I'm talking about international trade, they get like 10,000 or 20,000 views, but that one got like almost 200,000 views. Like
really?
It was so surprising. I didn't expect it to get so many views. But there was another video that I have been that I did actually here in New York that I thought that many people would watch it, because I've been asking like people on streets what they think about Taiwan and if they should protect Taiwan, because videos like that I did in London or in Switzerland before, they got some views, but this one it's performing pretty poorly, and I don't know why.
You just did that recently a few days ago, right?
So that's really like a hit or miss, like very hard to find your. And sometimes I know that there are trolls that are actually attacking the channel. And
how do they attack the channel? What do they do?
Oh, you can report a video.
Oh, I see.
And when one person does it, yes, but when like 1,000 of people does it,
that can affect your algorithm also.
And it affects the performance. So probably that's also one of the reasons. But I don't know. I still think that we have to put content. We have to do the videos constantly. Yes, it's not as good as making some fun videos. Doing fun content is it actually also very hard, and you have different kinds of pressure. But
Right.
for me, I think I do what I like.
Yes.
I still have my supporters, people who donate, for example, on Patreon, and this is enough for me to keep on going and keep on growing the channel and just put content right now. Maybe in a couple of years, people will come back to it, because right now I have videos that I filmed like 3 years ago. People are still leaving comments and are talking about it. So it's like a portfolio, and it's you see how am I growing like a content creator, how am I actually becoming better at analytical things, and how am I putting more content that is more engaging and that people actually
what
can
are
talk
what are
about.
some of your more popular videos?
Like recent ones, if we're talking about that Australia video, then another video was when we went to Geneva to protest.
Yes, I was gonna say I saw that one. That has like over 100,000.
To let Taiwan in, and we protested in front of
the WHO,
and we protested in front of the China's embassy in Geneva, and they called police on us. It was a lot of fun. And actually, like if you see the faces of those Chinese diplomats, full of hate and surprise at the same time. But that one performed pretty well. Then the video when I asked questions. The video about China's secret police stations also got a lot of views, because I went there. I went to the secret police station in London together with a friend of mine, who's British, and then we asked the people, what do they think? Do you know that there is a secret Chinese police station? What do you think about it? And got so many interesting comments. There was
Did people know? What was the response?
No, they didn't.
Did they believe you?
Yeah, they did, because it was in the news. It was in the Daily Telegraph. So you just show them the article, you see, and it's the address. So
what did they say? What was the feedback?
Some were very surprised, but I remember what the two people said. One of them was the Ukrainian refugee. She said, "Okay, today it's Chinese, tomorrow it's Russian. How come? Why do these illiberal and undemocratic countries?" It's like there is no escape from them, because she escaped the war like a lady, I think in her 60s or even 70s, like not a particularly like young woman. And she said, like, this is scary, what is going on. And she's a Ukrainian refugee, so she knows when a dictatorship knocks your door, nothing good comes after that, right? And then there was another person, a guy, he said, like, it is interesting not only that they are here, but who allowed them to come in. Just asking that question, and that was like, that is. So there are, of course, there are some problems with the democratic countries, and sometimes the law enforcement forces are not actually performing well enough and cannot catch everyone in every single instance.
Right. There's a possible, like, a lot of loopholes in these liberal democracies.
Sometimes, that's what they say, that they use democracy to attack democracy. And then they say it's the freedom of speech. But come on, there is no freedom of speech in China. You cannot criticize the CCP in China. You cannot say anything bad about the CCP in China. And right now I hear some people in Taiwan that are pan-blue or pro-CCP, that they say, those people that are praising China, they are just exercising their freedom of speech. Yeah, but why don't they want to exercise that freedom of speech in China?
Exactly. That's a good point. Yes, that's true.
And if they do that, if they go to China and praise CCP, whenever they get sick, they go back to Taiwan to see Taiwanese doctors. So that probably is a problem with China, right? Otherwise, why won't you trust in Chinese doctors?
Yes.
Because many people were praising Chinese doctors during COVID, right? But whenever they get sick, they go back to Taiwan.
And now it's time for a short break. Talking Taiwan is a listener-supported podcast, and we're so happy to share the news that we've reached our goal to raise $5,000 for our matching donation campaign. We'll be having another matching donation campaign offered by Ming Chang. So any donations that you make right now will continue to be doubled. You can make a donation at talkingtaiwan.com/support. If you'd like to help us raise funds by being a matching donor, just email us at talkingtaiwanpodcast@gmail.com or support us directly at talkingtaiwan.com/support. Right now, your donation will be doubled during this $2,000 matching campaign. All of our donors will get exclusive first listening access to my interviews with Kevin Lin, one of the co-founders of Twitch and current co-founder and CEO of Meta Theory. The Boba Guys co-founders Andrew Chow and Bin Chen. Qinqi Yang, a multidisciplinary artist who has been inducted into the New York Foundation for the Arts Hall of Fame. And Michelle Ho, an attorney, activist, and author of Reading with Patrick, which is a runner-up for the Dayton Literary Peace Prize and the Goddard Riverside Stephen Russo Book Prize for Social Justice. Oh, interesting. I wasn't aware of that. So it sounds like, it's a lot of hard work to build this YouTube channel. And what have you learned about yourself throughout this process?
Oh, that's so... Well, let me reflect on it a little bit.
Yeah, I know that's a question to think about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
What did I learn about myself?
Oops.
I never knew, like before I started doing the channel, I never thought that I was able to make to make engaging content.
Really?
But
I mean, when you start a YouTube channel, there must be some reason, some drive. Like, it's not every day that someone decides to create a YouTube channel because you have some reason that you want to share and put yourself out there, right?
But I didn't think that I would be able to grow a channel, to grow my own audience, and to actually make content that keeps people watching, right? And
so when you started, it was kind of a hobby then? You weren't even thinking necessarily
I was working my full-time job,
okay.
And I just like filming, I like video, I like writing music, like creative things.
Okay.
So when I started, I didn't pay as much attention to that. And I will, like, the only thing I thought that was important is consistency. So when I just started, I was publishing like one video every week, every week. And the content could be like anything. But I didn't think that people would watch it and like it. I was doing it to share with my friends, the people who I know, and again, like with my wife, just to put something online that might keep some people interested. But I didn't think that so many people would watch it in the end. Yeah, so I never thought of myself from that case, and I never thought that I would be able to do like a creative job. Because I can play the piano. I like creating stuff. I like music. I like filming. I like photography.
So the seeds were there.
Yeah, the seeds were there, but I never thought that I would be able to grow something myself, because I was always thought, okay, I will be just working 9-to-5 job. But in reality, right now, there is no such thing as 9-to-5 job. It's like 8 to the next morning, right? Especially if you're working for the Taiwanese businesses. But I never thought that I would be able to do something like that. And
well, I think it's important to acknowledge that you have a partner too, and that both of you are committed and work to this together. And I think that's what helps me as well, because I'm not like a one-woman show. I have my partner too that helps me to produce my podcast. So that's a really important part of it.
And I never thought that we could work as a team with Tai Tai. Because like she was doing her job, I was doing my job, and then we go back home and we discuss the stuff, and that's it. And I never thought that because she also is interested in politics and the thing, that our dinner discussions would become scripts for our videos one day,
So is this what you do full time now then?
Yeah. Because as I told you before, it's very hard to get any sponsorship deals. I also work as a freelance interpreter and translator. When
Okay.
when I see that my channel is not earning enough, I get the cases.
Sure.
So
Sure.
just to pay the bills.
Yeah. And you've also interviewed some people. Are there any particular people that were very memorable or that were surprising, like they were not as you expected they would be?
I never thought that Yubei-chan, do you know that
Yes.
generally that
I interviewed him recently too.
Yeah, that he was such a fun person, like while talking to him, because he's always like a general, like very uptight and saying serious stuff, like about the military development and the state of the Taiwanese army and things like that. But in person, he's very fun.
Yeah.
And he's a very kind person. I never thought of him like that. And also, but basically, I think that many people that I have interviewed, for example, Miao Boya, when I interviewed them, I think more or less it's the same person than while you're watching like the YouTube channel, like videos from Taipei City Hall. I think what they say, it's pretty similar to how they behave on camera. And people like Freddie Lim. I also never thought that he could be such a nice guy in person. And I think like most of the interviews that I had with the people in Taiwan or with some politicians in Europe, in Ukraine even, the people like on the news they appear more uptight and more nervous, but when you talk to them in person they're like very nice and they're doing everything they can do for their countries, for their political parties, and just to achieve the best results.
Yeah.
I never thought that, when I interviewed Kira, like a Ukrainian MP, that she looks like a fragile lady, and then the war just started, and I called her like on the streaming platform, and for the interview, and she was holding a gun.
Oh, wow.
And I never thought that such a fragile woman would be so brave and fearless, and just she knew what's going on and she knew what the goals are, because in stressful situation people perform differently.
Sure.
And that was also like a very big surprise. And right now, and she actually later on she went to Taiwan. I don't know if my interview was one of the reasons, I don't know, but she went to Taiwan and she talked about the necessity of developing of the relationship between Ukraine and Taiwan. And I think that this is amazing. And right now, more and more people are actually learning about Taiwan and are willing to stand up to Taiwan. Like Lithuanian politicians, I've interviewed 2 Lithuanian MPs. And it is interesting how more people, while learning about Taiwan, they also want to learn about Taiwanese experience in the 90s, the whole democratization process, and what can Lithuania, for example, learn from Taiwan, and what can Taiwan learn from Lithuania. This is amazing.
Yeah, it's important to have these exchanges. What do you think are your most pressing concerns about Taiwan these days?
The amount of Chinese propaganda, because it's everywhere, and it's impacting not only the young people but also the elders, and especially with the closed line groups. Like recently, there has been that thing when elderly people were receiving messages: if Taiwan gets unified, quote unquote, with China, your savings will from NTD, from New Taiwan dollars, will all become the Chinese currency, and the exchange rate would be 1-to-1. Right now it's 1-to-5. Just so that means that your savings would grow 5 times, and some people believed in that. And that's just the tip of an iceberg. There is there's a huge amount of, and it's different. Sometimes it's they say the things that are not true about China, and how great China is, and that China will protect Taiwan, and so on and so forth. But the other type of propaganda is targeting the Taiwanese government. The current Taiwanese government, they're being portrayed as corrupt and ineffective, inefficient, and they do only care about their own needs, right? Personal needs. And there is the third type of propaganda that makes Taiwanese people doubt Taiwanese allies, for example, the United States or the European countries or Japan.
Right.
And this is worrying because it will impact the outcome of elections. And it's very hard to fight against that disinformation,
Right.
especially when it's backed by a country like China that has like infinite resources in propaganda.
Right.
So that's why there is only one thing that I hope that more Taiwanese people or more people who have been to Taiwan will start doing. Start make videos about Taiwan, start talking about Taiwan, share your experiences, debunk Chinese propaganda if you can. Because I know that many people have been working in China, many people know what China is, and many people understand what China plans are. So I just hope that more people join, and there will be not only one Stan-波兰ê台湾囡仔, but there will be like at least 100. So it would be easier to,
Yeah, okay, but what if somebody doesn't read Chinese or speak Chinese? Like, so what kind of sources can they consult to learn about this or educate themselves?
Well, if you want to learn more about Taiwan, Taiwan has newspapers in English also.
Yeah.
There is also Taiwan Plus.
Yes, Taiwan Plus is a really great resource.
Yeah. If you don't want to go too deep into internal affairs of Taiwan, if you're interested, you can still read Taiwan newspapers using like online translators for that.
True.
But the accuracy of translation sometimes it's not so good.
Right.
But there are many resources that report. There is a Focus Taiwan, which is also a very good. That's the CNA resource, right? There is also Taipei Times, right, which is also reports in English. There are also all kinds of Western media reporting on Taiwan. You can find articles on Guardian, on the BBC News, on CNN. I mean, like everywhere.
Right.
And people both on the right and on the left are talking about Taiwan. It's if you want to get the most up-to-date information, you can also go to some of the analysts on Twitter. They have their own Twitter accounts, and there are perfect analysts, like I think in any country. You don't only have to read in English. If you speak Polish, there are people in Poland who are also writing some very interesting things about China, about Asia, about Japan, and also about Taiwan. So right now there is an abundance of resources. You probably won't get the information as fast as if you would have spoken Mandarin, but you can still understand more or less.
Right.
Especially about the processes that are going on in Taiwan right now.
Well, it's interesting. I was talking to somebody, and I think a lot of times some people, it's easy, well, not easy, but you can feel very overwhelmed by the concern and the impending possibility of China attacking Taiwan, and it seems more and more real these days. And so what do you say to people who feel that it's like feel a little bit hopeless, or that maybe it's like inevitable, and what can we do about it?
Well, first of all, you don't have to feel helpless, because Taiwan has friends and Taiwan has allies. And I mean, how many times does the American president, whatever from which party he is, like Joe Biden said, I mean, like 4 or 5 times that the U.S. has a commitment to protect Taiwan. Before that, the Republican president also said that, the U.S. should protect Taiwan.
Right.
People from both parties say it every time, that the U.S. should protect Taiwan. And I cannot say that China will not attack 100%.
Yeah.
Because same thing, like before Russia invaded Ukraine, there were analysts, like including in Taiwan, saying, oh, he won't dare. Oh, Putin is not capable. He's not out of his mind. He will not attack Ukraine. But you cannot analyze what does a crazy person think.
Right.
Because I know that's what this is very interesting. That's a former American ambassador to Russia wrote on his Twitter. If you say that tomorrow Putin will not attack Ukraine, that means you know Putin better than I do. If you say that person certainly will attack Ukraine tomorrow, you also know Putin better than I do. Because if Putin attacks or if he doesn't attack, it all depends only on one person and only on one thing, on Putin himself.
Yeah, exactly.
If he has a stomachache in the morning, he will probably want to attack Ukraine because he's not happy. Same thing with Xi Jinping. Nobody knows. Maybe he has eaten too much of spicy stuff, and his tummy reacts today, and he thinks, okay, I hate my life, I want to attack Taiwan. Maybe this would happen. What Taiwan can do is first arm itself.
Yeah.
Have capable army.
Yeah.
Like that's what Ukraine did after 2014. Update the equipment, do the military reform, and find as many allies as you can. That's what Taiwan can do, and that's what Taiwan should do. Taiwan is like a hedgehog. You want to bite it, you will get hurt. So for the people who are concerned about it, you don't have to be concerned, because Taiwanese allies know what China is doing and what are the capabilities of China. The only thing that you should do is support the people inside Taiwan who are pro-Taiwan sovereignty, who are for making friends with Taiwanese allies, and not being too friendly to the dictator that might want to attack you, because it always is a concern. Yes, there are some business opportunities, but their missiles are facing Taiwan.
Yes.
If the missile is facing Taiwan, then what yeah, you can still do business, but at least have some concerns, right? You don't have to be too naive. And the world is very big. There is not only one China. There is not only one country that you can do business with. You can still do business with the Southeast Asian countries. You can still do business with Africa, with Europe, with the United States, with the South America, with Central America. The world is big.
Right.
It's not only one country that everything is concentrated around. And right now, the whole world is decoupling from China, or de-risking. And this is smart.
Yeah.
Because there are many countries, and those countries, they want to develop, they want to earn your money, they want to produce for you. So there's plenty of opportunities, and you don't have to fixate yourself as there is only China, there is only one issue of one country. Right?
It's just wise to diversify in any case. Yeah. Do you want to share some thoughts about Taiwan's presidential election, since that's coming up?
Oh, there are so many thoughts.
I know. I just threw it out there to let you express what you want to share about it.
Well, I've been to pro-lighting the rally in New Jersey a couple of days ago, and I've interviewed Gordon Chang there.
Yes, I saw that your interview.
I really like his books.
Yeah.
And one thing he said, like what I agree 100%, it's also related to Taiwan's military development. If he said, for example, if the Western allies would have protected Ukraine better, if Ukraine was armed better before Russian invasion, Putin might have not invaded.
Right.
And with Taiwan, getting more and more international support is very crucial. And right now, the only candidate that can get this international support is from the Democratic Progressive Party. Because here, and many people in Taiwan, many politicians in Taiwan also say, put it like that, like what Miao Boya said. Right now, it's you have to make a choice between are both part of China, 同属一中 in Mandarin, or are not related, 互不隶属. If you choose are not related, if you have that clear peace of mind, that clear set of thoughts that Taiwan should protect its sovereignty, the allies will help Taiwan to protect itself. But if you choose the other one, are all part of China, are both part of China, like talking about like both sides of Taiwan Strait, then first of all, it sends wrong signals to your allies. They will start doubting you, because okay, today you say that you want to be a part of China, or you want to be ambiguous in your intentions, and you're not willing to actually protect yourself. Then why should the United States come and help? Because American citizens will have to spill blood. right? And we'll have to spend money, taxpayers' money, like lots of money. And this is crucial to understand. If Taiwanese people are willing to protect themselves, the whole world will help Taiwan. But if not, then that's a whole different situation.
But then that's the question: is do the Taiwanese people realize that their vote will send the signal?
That's why it is important to vote. Because some people say, "Oh, my vote doesn't decide anything." No, you shouldn't even think in this kind of. You shouldn't have even like the set of mind like that. What does it mean? Your vote doesn't matter. Your vote is your responsibility. People spilled blood, tears, and sweat for you to have an opportunity to go and cast a vote.
Right.
This is what you have to do. And it's not important. You have to do that. That's your responsibility. And if people understand that, if people go back to Taiwan to vote, I think the outcome of the elections would be representative of what Taiwanese people think. It is very interesting, and that's also what Gordon Chang told about during his speech, because right now Lai Ching-te, William Lai, is leading, but if Hou You-yi and Ko Wen-je, like former mayor of Taipei and the current mayor of New Taipei, if they unite their voices, then they might win. So there would be a coalition between blue and white. So that's.
Well, that would mean one of them would have to drop out.
Yeah, but I think they won't do that. Because we still have like around 6 month time frame.
Yeah.
A lot of things could happen, and I think even though William Lai is leading right now, it shouldn't be the reason to think, okay, I will win.
We shouldn't be complacent.
Yeah, exactly. Like right now, it's time to mobilize all of the resources. It's time to talk more about the elections, and it's time to start persuading people more to vote for you. Because what I have to say is the blue and the white, they do it. Currently, you see more voices coming from that side of Taiwanese politics than from the more pro-green, especially if you're targeting like the young audiences. If you go to YouTube, if you go to like any kind of online platform, it's all Ko Wen-je. It's all the former mayor of Taipei, and they're really spending a lot on this campaign. It's harder to find more like pro-green voices, and I think that they will have to mobilize and to let people know that there is a different opinion, there is a different position, and because right now what I see is the green is being constantly attacked, and they have to do more to actually counter these attacks.
And can you talk about the white? Because we hear about the green and the blue. We don't hear so much about the white. What does the white refer to?
Oh, the white refers to the Taiwan People's Party. A pretty communist name to me, actually. When you have like people in it, like the Great Hall of the People, right? People's Daily. You put like the Taiwan People's Party. Like in English, it sounds like very, very, very communist. The head of the party, he admitted himself that he is Mao Zedong's appreciator. He likes. Yeah. He writes. He likes reading his work, and he is using his tactics, like whatever does that mean. But what is interesting and why is he? I don't want to say dangerous, but why does he attract so many votes? And why does he attract? Because he got re-elected as a mayor of Taipei, and he has support, especially of a younger population, younger male working in high-tech industry. Like probably that's his main target audience, because he can be whatever he wants to be anytime. He is a chameleon. Sometimes he looks like a green. Sometimes he looks like a blue. Sometimes he said that Chinese people and Taiwanese people are a family. Sometimes he says that his family got oppressed during the 228 and the White Terror. Sometimes he wants to be friendly towards China and have things like Shanghai Taipei Forum. together, but sometimes he says that the DPP is a very he's saying bad things about both of the parties, both the white and both the blue and the green. So this is what attracts people, and he's very good at using media. He was very good at using media when he was a mayor. He really mobilized a lot of resources around him, and his campaign was very successful at that time. We have to admit it. And right now, the same thing. He dancing the Chiofo dance with one of the with very popular Taiwanese YouTubers. And this attracts the young people. They don't think about his policies. They don't think about what he has been doing as a mayor. They don't think about his very misogynistic behavior, and what he said, for example, about the CCP before is that the self-immolation acts of Buddhist monks are causing trouble to the CCP. So basically saying that what the Buddhist monks do is he doesn't approve that, and in that term, because it causes trouble for the CCP. Or the recently what he said, he had some misogynistic comments, and then the recent one was that the first grade people are going to medical schools in Taiwan, the second grade go into engineering schools, the third grade and the fourth grade are studying law, and the people that go, for example, to arts, study music, for example, they're purulio, basically they're below the grain, they shouldn't be even paid attention to, a very discriminatory comment. And it seems like his followers think, yeah, that's okay, we can agree with that. He's criticizing the state of Taiwanese society, but Taiwan has wonderful artists. Taiwan has talented lawyers. Taiwan has people of all kinds of professions that excel at what they do. And I think that he's targeting a particular group of people, these young, by young I mean below 40s, right? Male, people who attended the recent rally in Taiwan. It was, I think, 90% it was male. It was rally for justice, and it was organized by Guan Zhang and Huang Guozhan, these two people, and Ko Wen-je also took part in it. Basically saying that Taiwan is an unjust society. They want to protest it.
How so? What is unjust about it? What was the premise?
Criminal gangs, and talking that Taiwanese people cannot buy houses, cannot afford houses. But this is everybody. I mean, when DPP is in power, KMT says that Taiwanese people cannot afford houses. When KMT is in power, the DPP will say that Taiwanese people cannot afford houses. Not being able to afford houses is it's been a long-term issue, and Taiwanese economy is developing. I mean, do people in New York City, can they afford houses? No. In London, no. In Berlin, no. No, not at all. So this is a problem it's a first world problem. Real estate is expensive, and it will only be getting more and more expensive. But he attracted many young males before their 40s. And what is interesting about him, he's targeting these people and also the people who hate both of the parties and want to see some new faces. What is dangerous about him is that he doesn't have a clear understanding and what his international policies and international positions would be. How would he treat the relationships with the United States? How would he treat the relationships with China or with Japan or with the different partners? Because what he said and what he is standing for, it's a little bit dangerous. He wants to maintain the equal distance from the United States and from China. But this is not how it works. United States is Taiwan's ally. Mm-hmm. If you show the U.S. that you want to keep distance from the U.S., that means that if anything bad happens, then the U.S. will also keep distance from you, basically. Mm-hmm. Because this is not the right signal. And especially right now when when the United States support is mostly needed, and look at how the United States is supporting Taiwan economically, and sending officials to Taiwan militarily, saying that the U.S. has a commitment to protect Taiwan. what else can American people do to let the Taiwanese
Right.
people believe in them? I mean, this is so strange because I
Right.
have been making a street poll like a couple of days ago,
Mhm.
asking just random people on streets. I mean, there were some people that didn't agree to be filmed.
Yes.
They said, "Oh, Taiwan, yeah, we support Taiwan, but I don't want to be filmed."
Right.
There was not a single person in New York City. I filmed in 3 different locations.
Right.
That said, "Oh, the U.S. shouldn't support Taiwan, and the U.S. should stand with China." No one.
Mhm.
The only concern that the U.S. People had, the Americans had here, is how to prevent the war from happening.
Yes.
But that's the concern that every
Yes.
person has. But if anything bad happens, right now it's different from Vietnam when the public support was very low. Here, the public support of protecting Taiwan is very high. And you can see in the recent polls, many American people, they do understand the importance of Taiwan, starting with its economy, starting with its chips. Right now, more and more Taiwanese businesses are investing in the United States. And Taiwan is US's key partner and key ally. And if you want to keep distance from the United States, then what does it mean? That you want to be closer with
Right.
China? And with the recent spy scandals and how the CCP is infiltrating the United States, there is a growing concern here. People understand that it's a totalitarian country. You have to be careful. That's why the whole de-risking thing, because it's risky to invest everything in
Right.
one country, especially when it's not a free country.
So I think the concern should really be whether the Taiwanese people understand that, and they, they're not being swayed by disinformation to, against knowing who is in their corner. Yeah. And,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what Puma Shan also said, Professor Shan, that it's very important understanding who your enemies are and who your friends are. 敌我意识. Like this is very crucial, and I think Taiwanese people should pay more attention to that, especially right now when the international situation with Russia attacking Ukraine is becoming more and more stressful. Allies need to unite and democracies need to unite. You have to understand, if anything bad happens, the US will protect you. If anything bad happens, the European countries will stand by your side. So you have to be careful while having relationships with illiberal countries. I'm not talking about China only, also Russia, Iran, North Korea, like those countries. The ambiguous China policy is not what Taiwan needs right now, especially when China is saying and putting it forward like very, very directly. I will invade, I will occupy, you're a part of my territory.
The planes and the ADIZ every day.
Yeah. Exactly. And more planes are flying over the line between like the two sides of Taiwan Strait. That's why when your neighbors are so aggressive, you have to protect yourself. You cannot be ambiguous with them.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I think if we're looking at the elections, yes, of course, we have to take a look at we have to pay attention to the social policies, to the social programs, to the economy. But in terms of economy, what can they offer? What do the blue and the white offer? More relationships with China?
Yeah.
Signing the service agreement with
right.
them?
And Kawan just said that he wanted to propose a new service, service cross-trade service agreement recently, right?
Yeah, but what does it mean? That more Chinese people will come to Taiwan in search for work, in search for jobs, but China right now has more than 20% of youth unemployment. And all of these unemployed people will come to Taiwan. This is what they are offering to raise Taiwan's economy. Will the Taiwanese people benefit from them? The green at least benefits the diversification of the market, like have relations with the US, with Europe, with South America, like with India. Like right now, during the current administration in Taiwan, Taiwan-India relations are reaching new highs.
Yes, there's more consulate offices opening in India, like Taiwan consulate offices.
Yeah, this is amazing. So you see that there are more and more friends and more relationships that Taiwan is having. But what Cohen or Hoyoyi, what they're offering only one thing: China. But do we need more China in our lives? especially when right now the economy is still binded to China to a certain extent. I think no. I think no, we need more partners from all around the world.
While President Biden has said many times when he's been asked whether or not the U.S. will protect Taiwan, and it's also part of the Taiwan's Relations Act saying that the U.S. is obligated to help Taiwan to defend itself. What do you think would really happen if in that situation? Would the U.S. sanction China, or would they actually? How much military action or like support would they provide, and what is your view?
Well, first of all, from the legal point of view, protecting Taiwan is also a part of Taiwan Relations Act and the 6 assurances, right? And I think it doesn't matter what kind of administration would it be, Republican or Democrat, there is a commitment there. To what extent will the US help Taiwan and protect Taiwan? It also depends on the Taiwanese people and who will be in power in Taiwan at that time. If it is a party that is supporting Taiwan and is willing to stand up to military aggression and not is going to, for example, shorten the military service period to 4 months, like what the KMT proposed, right? If it's the party, if these are the people, if it is the administration that is standing for Taiwan and is willing to fight the war against the invader, then the US will provide military support. I think 100% sure. The situation is a little bit different from the support that the US is providing to Ukraine, because there were different commitments in place and different kinds of support. And what is important, what happened in Ukraine in 2022, it's the extension of what happened in Ukraine in 2014.
Right.
And because of the training, of the military reform, and of constant cooperation of the United States, of the European Union, of NATO with Ukraine, Ukraine was able to withstand this aggression. Taiwan right now is deepening its cooperation with the United States, including military training, including buying the newest equipment. And the US understands that if something bad happens, the US will have to come and help. But we have to understand one thing. If a very China-friendly people are ruling Taiwan at that time, would it be worth it for the US to send people, to send military, to risk their lives, if they will put forward policies that are actually going in the opposite direction of protecting Taiwan? Shorten the military service period, maybe selling out some secrets to China that what happened in previous administrations. And the US, of course, will not be willing to fight a war when they understand that the winning is not possible, and the people who are in power in Taiwan would not do their max to protect Taiwan. But if there is a party, if there is a president, and if the Taiwanese legislature have a consensus here that Taiwan has to be protected, and if anything bad happens, everybody will do everything possible to protect Taiwanese democracy and Taiwanese freedom, then I have no doubt that the United States will also do their max and will provide all kinds of support that Taiwan needs at the time.
What's the most rewarding and what's the most challenging part of what you do?
Okay. Doing content online, the most rewarding thing is talking to people, getting to know Taiwanese people more, engaging with my audience. Like, I really enjoy my Sunday live streams when I get call-ins. Like, everybody can just call me and discuss everything, and anything they want. Most challenging thing is you have to always learn new things. It's a changing environment. The other challenging thing, you have to always follow with the current events and what is going on, every day, all day. If you're a YouTuber, if you're a content creator, you don't have holidays. You don't have vacations. No. It's Christmas, yes, you're live streaming. It's New Year's Eve, yes, you're live streaming. It's Independence Day, you're making a video. Whatever is going on, you don't have time to rest. That probably is the biggest challenge. But at the same time, I think that when I'm doing content, all my life became I really like doing that. So
yeah, you have to be able to sustain it.
So if you like what you do, then you will succeed at it. Because not every person, some people can do videos, but not every person is suitable for putting that kind of content every day.
Yes.
So I think that here I found my niche, and I'm very grateful for that. And again, the most rewarding is talking to my viewers and having those deep and engaging conversations that we have on our live streams.
So you see yourself going for another 4 or 5 years?
Well, some people say that YouTube might die off in 4 or 5 years, but
I think we never know.
If it's not YouTube, there will be like a MeTube or TheyTube or OurTube or any kind of different tube. Making on today I'm doing like these kind of videos. In 2 years I will be making like 3D videos. But this kind of commentary and discussing current affairs and politics and making videos, I think I'll be glad to be doing it till the last day I'm here.
I think it's going to become more and more important, like since we see like the rise of AI and ChatGPT, and people should be questioning more about the reliability of their sources and things like that. I do believe that maybe it's going to become more important. The things that you and I are doing in different mediums. I'm doing it as a podcaster, but you're doing it as video content and commentary.
Yeah, and it is very important, and both types of content are like very important and very crucial, because podcast, when you're driving, of course you will be listening to a podcast. When you have more time, you turn your computer on or take out your phone and watch a video. I think like there is a need to have more content, especially Taiwan focused content. I think the only disadvantage is there is not enough of us.
Yes. It's tough. It's tough to be an independent, because you're independent. Like you said, it's hard to get sponsors.
Almost impossible, especially with Taiwan, but it's worth it. It's worth it, and I think just the time is not yet, but we're here. We'll be keep on saying and keep on promoting Taiwan, discussing Taiwan, and I hope that one day more people will be paying attention. Right now, more and more people are understanding why Taiwan is important.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for all the work that you do. It's really important.
Thank you for the interview, Felicia. Thanks a lot.
I've been speaking with YouTuber Stan from Poland, Taiwan. Now it's time for you to show us some love. We just found out that you can rate us on Spotify. Or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Audible, leave us a review there. It helps others to discover Talking Taiwan. To learn more about any of the items mentioned in this episode, visit our website, talkingtaiwan.com. There we'll list any related links. Thank you for listening to another episode of Talking Taiwan. I'm your host, Felicia Lin.
Talking Taiwan is brought to you by Forumosa.com.